Hello, hope everyone is doing well. I'm just gonna give everyone a little time to join in. Oh, I see Instagram has new updates for the live. Interesting features. So, yes, it's we're here with our fourth episode of That Is Why Italy, and we have a very interesting guest today. I'll speak a little more about him as I wait for a few more people to join in. Hi Ritav, good to see you here. Hi Anusha, very good to see you here again. Awesome. Okay, I see Vinay has joined in. I'm gonna send you a request. Awesome. Do we see Vinay? Guys in the audience, if you all can see both of us and hear both of us clearly, please just drop us a thumbs up in the comments or so. Hi Josh, good to see you. Okay, Vinay has accepted our request and he should be here in a bit. Hi Vinay,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm great. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Is it all good?
Perfectly, perfectly. You can hear me? You can all good?
Yeah, all
Perfect,
good.
perfect. Wow, that's a beautiful location. Where are you currently?
I'm just beside my residence. There's a small little park here where kids come to play, and there are a few seats here, and it's a nice sunny day, so I thought I'd sit
क्या बात है, beautiful. Okay, but I got very carried
out.
away with the beautiful background that you had that I forgot to introduce you to all the lovely people who have joined here. So, to everyone who's watching the live, this is Vinay. His full name is Vinay Sukhija, and he is currently studying at the University of Padova in Italy. He is pursuing his MSc in Developmental and Educational Psychology, which I think is quite an interesting course. But I'm not going to speak much about that. I'm going to leave that to Vinay. So, Vinay, we are super, super, super happy to have you here. Thank you for accepting our invitation and being here. I'm sure this is going to be a great session. So, I have one tiny question for you before we begin. Since the series is
Sure.
titled That Is Why Italy, and we are on our fourth episode today with you. I wanted to ask you, why Italy? Like, what was your That Is Why Italy moment? Why did you pick Italy for your education?
Well, although the question sounds tiny, I don't think the answer can be as tiny as that question. So, I mean, I will have to get into a bit of a story. So, I graduated in around 2020, back when the pandemic started and everything was just really confusing, and so it was just so hard to like get a hold of things. And education was moving towards an online phase for a temporary while at least. And I was not fascinated by that idea. I prefer education to be face to face and in person. So I decided that I would take a break, a gap year of a year, and while I was doing my internships and things like that, I always wanted to, go abroad and have a cultural experience. Also, I believe like the niche that I'm studying, as you mentioned, developmental educational psychology, the the education levels for that in India are not there yet, are not at the point where I would have preferred to stay back in India. So I naturally wanted to move abroad and pursue my specialty like in more depth. And when you search online for courses like this, the way I searched was to go onto the rankings of colleges and see the ranking for the course that I like. And Padua was in the top 100 then for the course that I wanted to do. So naturally, that was my first choice, and that's basically why Padua. But then you also have to take into consideration the country, right? It's not only the university; it's also why Italy, why this country. And back then, there were other colleges. I also applied to colleges in UK, Australia, and I got admits from there as well. But I thought to myself, would I rather go to places like where a popular culture, which a culture I sort of understand, a language I sort of understand, or would I rather like to challenge myself, have like a challenge to my perspectives, have what I thought to be normal and like the way of life? Would I like that to be challenged? And I decided that I believe I have the potential to take up that challenge and come out on the other side as a better human being and as a person who's more skilled and professional in my life. So that's why I took up the challenge, and I'm glad I did because it's been a beautiful time out here. And the country is full of history. Everywhere you look, there's architecture, there's beautiful history from all around the time, and I that's why Italy.
That is so beautiful, Vinay. That is so beautiful. So, like, the idea that you had about Italy Pele and the idea that you have now that you're in Italy, does it align? How is it? Is it better than what you thought, or like it's exactly what you thought of?
No, absolutely, it does align, and like I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Obviously, every country has pros and cons, and there are some cons that have also come to light. But still, like the amount of cultural exposure that I've had, and like just you when you grow up in a sort of India, you sort of subconsciously believe that English is like the superior language, and that sort of you start believing those things. But when you come here, that's really not the case. There are different worlds all around the world, and there's so many cultures, and you just it's not that English is the superior language. You can have beautiful conversations in other languages, and if you're just willing to challenge your worldview and take that next step forward, after coming here, I've met people from Turkey, Iran, Brazil, so many countries, and like I was telling you on the live, I mean on the meeting a while back, that I celebrated Nowruz last week, and it's just these things that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do in India, and I'm just so glad that I came here because absolutely the chance of the exposure to different cultures, learning new things, learning new ways of life, it's been a dream.
That's lovely. That's really lovely. I'm going to ask you too many questions later about your friends because this Navroz thing that you mentioned is quite interesting. So I'm going to come to the festivities. I see a lot of students who are currently enrolled
Absolutely.
with Uni-Italia also here. So I'm sure they're going to be like super inspired after listening to this because I have a very nice idea. But okay, I'll come to that later. But yes, for everyone who's listening and
So,
a lot of people who have just joined in, this is Vinay. He's currently studying at Padova, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation with him. We'll also be taking up some of your questions, so feel free to engage in the comments, drop in some questions that you all have. We might just include them either in the convo or later. So, like, yeah, feel free to spam us. So, okay. So, Vinay,
hi chat, hi everyone.
yeah,
How's
yeah. I see a lot of Vinay fans also. So, okay. So, yeah, when you arrived in Italy, how was it? Like a common question that people ask us is, oh, we are leaving our home country and going to a completely different culture. What about accommodation? How are we going to find
right?
a place to stay and everything? Can you tell us a little bit about your journey with that?
Yeah. So, my first thought when I arrived in Italy was, oh my God, it's really cold because I came here in December end and I was not prepared for how cold it was going to be. This was my first time going abroad to a different country out of India. And my main priority thought was, oh, it's really cold. But anyway, jokes aside, I had a hotel booked for like a few weeks, and my plan was to stay there. And while I was staying there, look for accommodation, message people, go get on these Facebook groups. And there are a few websites that are common in Italy for accommodation, like Immobiliare, Idealista. So if anyone's listening, you can write this down. And I just searched for listings there. I got an Italian SIM first, and I started contacting people on these listings. And one tip that I'd like to give to anyone who's coming to Italy in September is that try to go like the extra mile, do a little more bit more effort. You can write your message in English, but also try to get it translated. Or if you have a friend who's Italian, ask them to help you translate that message, because it just shows that you're trying to make an effort and that you're trying to, although you're coming from a new country, you really want to be here. And that's a tip that I used, and I was translating all my messages to reach out to landlords in Italian as well, and I found that I had a better response rate when I did that. And after doing all of that, I was almost about to like sign a contract for a house, but instead the university gave me like a dorm in the university residenza, and I thought that would be a better option for me because there's students from so many different countries here, and I just learned so much. So I chose this option instead.
Very interesting, very interesting. But like you spoke about translating to Italian. Did you have a
Yeah.
friend or someone who helped you with this? Like, how did you go about learning Italian or doing this translation thing? Did you have a buddy or like?
Yeah, so actually, the University of Padova, as an international student back in, I think it was August or September, a university buddy actually reached out to me via email, and their job is to like sort of help us transition into a new country. So they help with translations, contracts, and one more thing about contracts is that there are a lot of fraud contracts out here where they say, that. There's a lot of demand for this house, so just transfer us the deposit, and they don't let you see the house, and they sort of there is no house basically. They make a fake house. So these university buddies are there to help you and ensure that you don't fall for such fraud accommodations. My buddy also helped me with like setting up a bank account because those things can be intimidating in a new country. She also helped me with like health insurance and things like that, and also after coming here I made friends with Italian students in my class, so they too were very kind and helped me, and that was all, like that was the help I used when I was doing all these things.
That is really nice. Like I really like this initiative of having a student buddy, you know. So you have someone who's like your age and
Yeah,
you're comfortable with them, and there are so many things that once you reach Italy you need a little assistance with. Of course, you have our Uni-Italia office in Rome also, which will be there, but that I mean this is really nice
yeah,
and a great way to make friends and everything. So quite a lot of cultural exchange too, huh? That's nice. But
yeah.
okay, I talking about we spoke about why Italy, but I wanted to know why Padova. Like, why did you pick this university, and how is the education? How are the professors, the lectures? I see Wasim asking a question about how long do the classes last in a day. So I just thought I'll ask you about lectures and everything.
Perfect. Yeah. So why I picked Padua, as I was telling you on the live also, the University of Padua is one of the oldest universities in the world, and this year we're celebrating 800 years of existence of this university, which is that's
That's
just
massive.
mind
Oh
blowing
my
to me when
God.
I think about it. 800 years. So it was founded in 1222, and it's one of the oldest universities in Italy. And also, like it has one of the oldest psychology departments, and the psychology department does a lot of research in various fields of psychology. And the professors are like well established, and they're really famous people. Also, like so, the development and educational psychology, the field that I want to study in, I want to specialize in adolescents, the teenage years,
Okay.
and there were professors here that do that. They talk about emotional regulations and say like things like bullying and peer relations in adolescence, which is something that I want to focus on as I develop my career. So I got in touch with those professors. They were really welcoming. They said, "Yeah, we're happy to work with you." I shared them my CV and the work I'd done back in India, and that's why I felt like I wanted to work with these professors, and the university was a beautiful university, and yeah, that's why I decided to choose Padova. Also about the classes thing. So it varies between semesters, and so there's something called a study plan that you have to make where you decide the number of courses. Like, contrary to how it is in India, the university doesn't give you the courses that you have to do per semester. You actually have to choose how many courses you want to do, whether you want to do it in the first semester or the third semester. There is a bit more freedom to make those choices. So you decide how many courses you want, which courses you want per semester, and then based on that, and a fair average is between like say 4 to 6 hours a day, but it's not every day. Like I have classes from Monday to Thursday. My Friday, like I have no classes today, and Saturday, Sunday is naturally free.
Wow.
And there are also breaks between classes. You have time for lunch and things like that. So it's really, it varies from course to course, from degree to degree. And as I said, you have to decide how many courses you want to take per semester.
That is very impressive, huh? And it gives you, I mean, if you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off plus 6 hours or something, it gives you a lot of time to explore a lot of things. I know you're a cricket fan, but do you have any sports or something that you play there?
No, so I'm not necessarily a cricket fan. I'm just an RCB fan. For anyone from
Oh,
Bangalore, Karnataka,
and
let's go
Mumbai Indians,
RCB.
okay, so we
But
are rivals. Okay, fine. I will leave that aside.
yeah, but more than cricket, I prefer football, and I'm in the country that admires football. Although Italy lost yesterday, which is a very sad case. Um, Calcio, but that's what they call football in
Okay.
Italian, is one of like deep-rooted things in Italian's culture. And I there is a football ground just near my residence, so I go there sometimes to play. And yeah, that's I'm also really fascinated by the game of chess, and I plan on like joining these chess clubs that are here. There are lots of chess clubs in and around the city, so I'm going to travel there and take some time and spend it there. But more than that, like in my free time, I just want to explore the city because, as I said, there's so much history here. There's Galileo Galilei used to study
Okay.
here, and I I'm just roaming around. There's something new to learn every day, and I just spend my free time seeing the city, learning the roads, meeting new people. That's what.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's so surreal, to be studying at a university which has a history of 800 years. It's
Yeah.
to walk down the same path that all these great minds walk down to study in those same classrooms. It's the vibe has history in it. It just gives me goosebumps, just to think about it. And that's so nice about spending. I mean, you're in this park, and I remember speaking to a director, and she was speaking about how something that she misses in Mumbai is the fact that there's so much greenery and so many parks and places to sit around and just have a nice chill evening in Italy. So I see you're in a park right now, so I can imagine. I can imagine how the life must be. And like you mentioned earlier, like
Yeah.
since you're living in the dorm, you have quite a lot of friends from different countries. So I'm very, very intrigued about what new cultural things have you tried? Like, what about India? Have you taught them? And what about Italy? Have you learned?
Yeah. About
Hmm.
the park and the greenery, also, like in Europe, there's a high culture of just walking, and I find that I end up walking so much more here.
Yeah.
Like I have a step counter on my watch, and back in India, it barely used to cost like 5,000, 6,000 steps. But over here, every day, it's just you don't feel like you're walking so much, but it's because you're just so lost everywhere, the cobblestone paths, and you see so many new things. And every day, I just like end up walking more than 12,000 steps, and there's also a very high cycling culture. So I have
Oh,
my own cycle. And there are like specified cycle lanes, and that's really fascinating. You can just take your bike and just go wherever you like. So it's yeah, it's really different to how it is in India, but it's a new and nice way to do things. It's a more laid back and relaxed lifestyle,
yeah.
but I like it, and I dare say I prefer it. Don't tell the Indians.
No, no, the Indians need to know because all of them who are listening are aspiring to be your juniors soon. So I'm sure this is like tempting them, this nice chill vibe. You take a cycle and go around and take a walk as opposed to getting stuck in traffic in Bangalore traffic. I mean, oh my God,
Yeah,
getting from the airport to the city is
it takes a lifetime.
totally. But that is really nice, and
Yeah.
that's nice. So it's quite a good course that you've spoken about. But like you told, like they have a history of having some really good psychological courses at Padova, and psychology is a subject which is quite sought after there. Do you also have some internships or something for practical experience? Yeah.
Yeah, so I get to that, but I just remember I missed your last question about the cultural exchange.
Ah,
So I'd like to
yeah.
talk about that as well. Yeah. Uh, yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, when you meet people, and what happens is, so let's say a joke that I was supposed to make with like, a group of Indians might not necessarily work with people here, and
Hmm.
that's something that takes a while to get used to because it's just different styles of thinking, different ways of humor, different ways, and that takes a while to like break and understand how to navigate those situations. But other than that, it's just fascinating. You learn new words, like you learn how to. I've learned how to say thank you in so many languages, and in February there was the Carnival in Venice, which was it's quite a famous carnival for the Italians. And I went there and I tried these really authentic Italian dishes. One's called frittelle, which is these fried dough balls. It
Oh.
tastes really good. And then I also tried
Ah,
octopus, which is really specific to the Italians in the Venice region because it's right nearby the sea.
okay.
So those are some dishes that I've tried, and like everyone's really fascinated by learning about Indian culture, and they say, "How do you do things in India?" And we love Indian food. Everyone always says they love
Yes,
Indian
yes.
food, and then I always tell them what you're having might not necessarily be authentic Indian food, but sure. Yeah, but everyone's been really sweet and they want to learn how things are in India. And then, they're also fascinated by how I tell them that, what I say might not necessarily be for everyone from India, because again, India is like 30 countries in itself. And that's something that they all like listening about. So yeah, that's about the cultural exchange.
That's so nice. That's really beautiful, yeah. And the Navroz thing that I mean, you've been to a carnival, you've celebrated Navroz. The internship I'll come to a little later, but I wanted to ask you. You spoke about
So
learning Italian, like so you've learned a lot of
yeah,
you've learned to say thank you in many languages, and you've learned a lot of Italian. Are there some words you'd like to share with us?
in Italian.
If you could teach all the Indians one word in Italian, some nice word, I would say, or a nice phrase.
uh, uh, a nice phrase is in bocca al lupo.
Okay.
So, you know how in English, when you want to wish someone good luck, you say break a leg.
Yeah.
So it's sort of in the same tone of that. In bocca al lupo, sort of roughly translates to in the wolf's mouth.
Oh, okay.
Uh, so it's just a nice way of saying good luck. And then there are lots of words that just after, like,
Hmm.
when you go to a shop and you buy, like when you're leaving the shop, you say buona giornata, like have a nice
Yeah.
day. Or in the evening, you say buona serata, have a nice evening, stuff like that. And I was also telling you, so
Hmm.
I had taken the Italian pre-A1
Yeah.
course. So that's the course you take before you start the
Hmm.
A1 course, which I'm about to start in a few weeks. And that was a bit intensive 3-week
Okay.
course, and I completed that, and I got like uh, the highest grade. Uh, I was really committed to learning, and I am still really committed to learning the language, because I was telling you before,
Hmm.
I really believe the only way to have the full experience that you come here for is to immerse yourself into the culture and to really just be open to doing things differently. Don't be afraid of making a fool out of yourself. You may pronounce words
Hmm.
incorrectly, but the fact that I believe people can see when you're really trying, and when you're really trying, people understand. So that's my story with the language, and yeah.
Such a beautiful philosophy that you shared, to always keep trying and like not don't be afraid to make mistakes because that's how you learn. That's a very nice philosophy.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. Yeah.
It's sort of like,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
sorry,
ahead. No,
go
no.
ahead, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay. It's sort of like, being a kid again. You make
Hmm.
mistakes, you learn new things, and it's really nice.
क्या बात है? I wanted to ask what is the highest score? I'm sorry, I'm very competitive, so I want to know what is the highest score and what is the score that you got? Yeah.
So the highest score in that exam was 100, and I got
No way, no way. Wasim, that's your answer. Wasim was asking how easy is it to learn Italian. I will say if you're as dedicated as Vinay and if you're practicing and if you're taking the effort to translate your messages from English to Italian and really studying, you can reach 100. Wow, that is impressive, Vinay. क्या बात है?
100.
Very cool, very cool. I missed a question from Anjali. Anjali, in the beginning, like before that, she was asking, "What are your plans for the future?" So, can you tell us a little more about the internship that you were speaking about that I deviated from, and your plans for the future?
Yeah. So I'll answer both of that together.
Okay.
So as part of my course, it's mandatory for me to do an internship, which I will do roughly from August to probably November or something. I have to do 400 hours of an internship.
Okay.
And if you can't tell already, something I'm really fascinated by research in psychology. I love doing research experiments and
Hmm.
academia. That's the sort of mindset that really excites me in my work. And my hope in the future is to do a PhD wherever I get a good opportunity under a professor that works with adolescents and peer relations. So my aim is to do a research internship with one of the professors here
Okay.
who work on the same field. I've started reaching out to them, sending my CV, sharing ideas, and discussing these ideas with them over email. So hopefully, if one of them accept me, I will do an internship with them, and I will use that internship as a way to, like, hopefully bag a PhD somewhere in the future, maybe in Italy, maybe in another country. I don't know. I don't believe in having sort of like set in stone paths. It's a little more go with the flow nowadays. But my goal, my sort of general goal, my vision is to get a PhD, and that's I hope the internship helps me do that.
That's nice. Yeah, that's really nice. And I think the intercultural environment that is there at Padova, that might have helped you a lot in general with respect to psychology because, we come from an Indian culture and we just have our a specific mindset about certain things. And but when you go to a different country and especially a university like Padova, which sees so many people from so many countries and cultures coming in, I guess interacting with a lot of, I may be wrong, but I feel that interacting with a lot of people from different nationalities broadens horizons. What do you think about that?
No, absolutely it does, and I've said this before also. It's about worldviews. You believe you grow up all your life thinking this is how things are done.
Hmm.
This is you have like this very unifying, very narrow perspective. But once you talk to people and just brief conversations, and you realize how that tunnel vision can sort of expand. And if you're just willing to open that worldview, you learn how to do things differently. You may think that way of doing things is not the right way, but people still do things like that and they're happy, and it's the only way you can broaden your perspective. And I believe like having a broadened perspective at this time of in this time in this generation is really essential if you want to sort of really build a global community in whatever it is you want to do, or just yeah.
That's nice. That's true. That's true. And okay, I've spoken too much about the future, so I'm going to backtrack and I'm going to go way back in the past when you were applying to Italy. I see a lot of applicants here,
Yeah.
and I think, okay, so anyone who's applying to Italy, I would request you all to just listen to this carefully because he's going to talk about his experiences. And oh, I see Meghna here. Hi, Meghna. And okay, so I wanted to ask you, how did you go ahead with, applying to Italy? Like, did you face any obstacles or how was it like in general? This course, the visa?
Hmm. Okay, so my entire application process started
Hmm.
in say Jan or February of 2021,
Yeah.
roughly more than a year now. So the deadline for the application to this course was March 7th of last year.
Okay.
And so I had to make a statement of purpose. I had to draft a CV, but it was in a format that this university wanted. So I had to draft the CV accordingly. I had to get other documents in order, like my IELTS score, passport, all those other
Hmm.
like administrative documents, plus like SOP, motivation letter, and things like that. So that took me a month or so to just do everything. But the university really made the process seamless. There's a very simple application window. You upload all the documents there. You upload like your details, date of birth, address, all of those other details. So with that application process, it was really smooth. And after I think I got my result in around April 8th or something, and I found out that I was selected to this course. And then after that, you sort of the next steps I would say is to also the university had like these webinars from April to July
Okay.
that talk about the visa process, how coming to Italy process. So that was also really helpful for me. That so there's the international office by the University of Padua. They host all these webinars, and they just to help people transition again, which is very essential when you're taking
Interesting.
such a
Okay.
big step. And then after that, well, one challenge was that once I got the application in
Hmm.
around April, May, was the time of the second peak of the COVID wave in India, and things had literally come
Hmm.
to a standstill. So there was a lot of fear of how do I get the documents, how do I arrange it in time. That was a bit of a challenging time for me personally, and I'm sure if anyone else went through this, they would agree.
That is true.
But then yeah. But then you start, and then you also find that I was telling you this that
Hmm.
there's these many WhatsApp groups, and that you sort of you join them, and you see that there are other students who are going to Italy. And I'll repeat, I'll
Yeah.
come to something that I want to talk about these WhatsApp groups later. But you see that there are many people and they're all really helpful and they sort of help you. And I joined these groups and I started meeting new people who are also going to different universities in Italy, and I start talking to them. But also I start preparing like visa documents, like uh, bank documents, financial statements. Then you also have to write to anyone who's listening. I'd like to give this tip that if you're going to be applying for a visa, the one document that you should focus on with all your heart is the cover letter. Please write that with like all of your uh, all of your passion and motivation, and it doesn't make sense to copy paste something that's off Google Images or from someone else's cover letter, because that cover letter is personal to you, and that's the only way you can convince anyone that you should be given the visa, because you talk about why you want to go to Italy. It's not about why someone else wants to go to Italy. So just sit down and write that, and things will be fine. I digressed a bit.
No, no,
Sorry,
no, that's good,
but
yeah. But
yeah. So it took a while from around June to July to prepare all these documents. So you go to the bank, you prepare bank statements, and then you also have to translate some documents into Italian, like my degree. Oh yeah, I forgot about the DOV. My son. Sorry, it's just like a blur. Uh, so when you're applying, you also have to apply for something known as the DOV.
yeah,
I cannot. Do you remember the full
declaration
form?
of
I forget
value,
the full.
declaration of value. Yeah.
Oh yes, no, no. Sorry. So sorry.
It's interesting to
Um,
hear the bells, don't
so
worry.
yeah. So these bells ring about. I think is it 12? Yeah. So they ring at every hour at 12.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
But that's nice. I saw someone
should
actually.
I go on, or am I getting muffled by the bells?
No, no, it's fine, it's fine. I just want to take a pause because I saw Rahul send nervous emojis. Rahul, don't need to be worried. I know Vinay has explained everything properly in the steps, but it can be a little intimidating to know that there are so many steps. Don't worry, just drop us a DM. We're here. That's the main purpose of Uni-Italia. We're just here to help you out with all the application procedure and like all these questions that you have on DOV, the scholarships, all of that. So don't worry, all those
Hmm.
nervous emojis, it's fine. Just drop us a DM and we'll be happy to help you out. Krish, yes, I will definitely
Yeah,
call you back. And yes, sorry, Vinay, go ahead. You were saying something.
I'm sorry if I scared
No, no,
anyone
not
in
at
the
all.
chat.
It's in fact it's very good that you told the entire process. It's necessary to be informed. I guess it's just that maybe it's someone's first time getting acquainted to what are other documents needed. So but that's okay. They can
Yeah.
definitely message us. It's absolutely chill.
Yeah, so about the DOV, it's not as difficult as it sounds. It's just that the university that you're going to, they basically need to see confirmation that the prior education that you claim that you've done has some value to it, and it has something. It is what you say it is. So that gets verified by the Consulate of Italy, and in order for that to get verified, you have to send them the documents apostilled by the Ministry of External Affairs in India, and along with translations of those documents.
Yeah.
And once they receive those documents, they go through them and they give you the declaration of value. That's it.
Yeah, and this year there have been some new regulations also which have come in. So we've been helping students with that also.
Okay.
So वो भी एक है. But yes, oh yeah, that brings me
Okay.
to the this. I was speaking to Kiara earlier in the morning, and she was speaking about you. So you've been an Uni Italia student in the past. I would love to know how like how Uni Italia stepped in and helped you with the journey last year.
Absolutely. So I had applied for my visa in around July,
Okay.
and after a month or so, I found out that my first application was rejected because of some problems in the sponsorship letter,
Okay.
and I'd done this application all by myself. And after I found out the rejection and I found the cause of the rejection, I was obviously dejected and disheartened. And I had come to know about Uni-Italia a week before applying for this visa,
Okay.
and by then I was too close to the application date to seek assistance, so I didn't go ahead with that.
Okay.
But then once I found out that my visa application was rejected, I realized that I wanted to do this with like better professional guidance, and that's when I reached out to Kiara. And I think in the span of 2 weeks, Kiara and you guys, you helped me around, and the application was ready for a resubmission. and I submitted it and I got it on the second try.
क्या बात है क्या बात है it's a heartwarming success story, you know, because it feels so good to see you exploring all these things in Italy, and I'm so glad Uni Italia could help out, because yeah, and I'm so happy you didn't stop trying
Yeah.
after the first rejection, you know. I'm happy you approached us and you got all we could help you out with the documents and everything, and you could finally get to Italy. Like that's really nice.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
I mean, I was telling you like a while back again, like people were the sign of like real like heartbreak. People tend to give up, and I understand why, because it's really disheartening. But if you just push a little more, things might come through, and that's like my philosophy in life as well.
Yeah.
But other than that, the thing is, almost all of my application was
Hmm.
like correct and in order,
Yeah.
but there's just some small tweaks that were necessary, and that's where professional guidance steps in, and that's where Kiara was able to help me and get my application like in the best possible way it could be. And another thing, taking this
Hmm.
back to the WhatsApp groups that I
Yeah.
was talking about. So, a lot of you prospective students who are listening are probably on these WhatsApp groups, Indian students in Italy or prospective students in Italy. I don't know what they're called now. But the thing is, when you get onto these
Hmm.
groups, you receive information from multiple sources. And so that information is what I would call secondhand information, where you can't verify the source of that information. You don't necessarily know where it comes from. It may come from the person who's saying it, or it may come from their friend, or you cannot verify the authenticity of that information. And if you start believing that information to be true, you may end up making some really harmful mistakes. And I would like
Absolutely.
to say that these groups are helpful. I'm not
Yeah.
saying do not be on these groups or anything like that. It helps making new friends. It helps because you're going to a new country, and it can be like a lonely process. But do not believe the information that you receive on these groups to be like gospel or the Bible, because it is not. Uh,
Absolutely.
uh,
And it's so sad, you know, like you see so many students who speak about like they went to some agency or something who scammed them and who didn't have proper information and guaranteed them visas and everything. That's so fake. That's so not true.
yeah.
Like I'm sure you've I know you had something to say about that while we were speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was telling you about this. There are lots of like consultancies or
Yeah.
educational consultancies that they call themselves,
Yeah.
and they charge exorbitant amount of money, and they say that they would guarantee you the visa or things like that, and none of that happens. I've heard stories where people like have borrowed large amounts of some and or have taken like huge amounts of debt or broken like fixed deposits and things like that. And that thing really breaks my heart, because please verify and do your research before believing in consultancies. And no educational consultancy can guarantee a visa. That is not a concept that exists anywhere in the world, because that just isn't a concept, because the sole authority of
Mhm.
giving you a visa lies with the consulate or the embassy, and the educational consultancy cannot alter their decision.
That is so true. And I see
And
Jitendra, sorry for interrupting you, but I see Jitendra, one of our students. Hi,
no, no, no.
Jitendra, good to see you. He's mentioned that, oh, that, and because, you know, while we were speaking about all the agencies and all, he's like, and that is why I chose Uni Italia. So thank you, Jitendra. That's really nice of you. And yes, that's
Yeah,
true. Like the main reason that we're here is to help students who, you know, we don't want students to get scammed. We want students to have legitimate information, first-hand information, as
yeah,
opposed to the second-hand information that you were speaking about on these groups and all. So, like, please feel free to approach us in case of any questions you'll have. Even if you feel the doubt is silly or anything, just please feel free to ask us. Like when I said, like never feel like any question is stupid or anything. Just please feel free to ask, because it's better to have legitimate information and legitimate help rather than getting, you know, scammed or getting losing out on money and something like that. So that's there. And yeah, Vinay, you were saying something.
and also
Yeah.
yeah. So about the second-hand information, let's assume that
Hmm.
even the information that you receive on these
Yeah.
groups is true. But still, the thing is, the visas are processed on a case-by-case basis.
Hmm.
So even if it was true for that person or their friend, it may not necessarily be true for you. So it's best to like get your case sort of analyzed by Unitalia if you'd like that, and then they would be able to tell you what is best for you on your case specifically, because that's what's important. And
Absolutely.
another thing about these education institutes, just to say this in a light-hearted manner, is would you rather believe in Unitalia, who has their office inside the VFS building, or would you rather believe in like educational consultancies that you cannot even find on like Google Maps or like somewhere?
That's true. That's true. And the
I,
fact that
I said that in a bit of a funny way. Yeah, but
but no, that makes sense. And yeah, the fact that we have our offices in the consulate and the in VFS, I think it was the consulate who recommended Unitalia to you, right? Yeah. So I mean, yeah,
yeah, I'd come across
yeah.
Uni-Italia, but then after my rejection, I sort of got in touch with the consulate, and they said, if you'd like to
Hmm.
reapply, we'd recommend that you go with Uni-Italia because they can guide you better. And I took their recommendation, and I'm glad I did.
Thank you, Vinay. Okay, so as we're coming to the end of this, I wanted to ask you one tiny question. Is there some advice that you'd like to give to students who are planning on applying? Some tiny piece of advice?
Uh, don't get intimidated, but do lots of research. You're going to have lots of information coming in from multiple sources, and that can get
Hmm.
like tricky to just sort of because you cannot listen to everyone and you cannot do what everyone says. But I would say like if it's best that you sort of take professional guidance and good guidance because this is like a very important decision and you would not like this to get failed just by a small mistake or a tiny like incorrect thing in your application. So do things carefully, but also like relax. Things happen, and things will happen for the best.
Thank you, Vinay. That is
And
so
it,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're saying something. Yeah, yeah.
no, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. Sorry. I was just saying that that was a very beautiful thing to say, as to relax and like I know it can be a little daunting, but if they relax, it's like nice. But thank you. This has been a really insightful conversation, and I think it's been really, really inspiring for everyone who's planning on applying to Italy in the future. It's really nice. So thank you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you so much. I had a great time. And to anyone who's listening, if you have any questions, you can reach out to Unitalia, and I'm sure they'll be happy to help you because they want you to go there and they want you to have this experience. So reach out to them, and they'll be happy to help you.
Thank you, Vinay. That's really, really nice of you. Thank you so much. And we wish you all the very best. I'm hoping to connect with you a little more in the future, say 6 months or 1 year down the line, and learn more about what all experiences you've had and more
Perfect.
about the course. So I'm sure a lot of our listeners are also looking forward to
Absolutely.
that. So thank you so much, and all the best once again. See you soon.
Thank you. Take
Take
care.
care. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye. Perfect. Thank you everyone for joining the live. We will be saving this on IGTV. So in case you have joined in a little later and have missed out on some points, please feel free to go back, check this out, and share it with your friends who are also keen on approaching education in Italy. And remember, we are here to help you out in case of any queries that you have or any assistance that you need with applying to Italy. We'll see you soon for our next episode of That Is Why Italy. Take care and have a good weekend.